How to work a sample piece using UK treble crochet or US double crochet. Hi everyone! In this tutorial we are going to be working a sample piece using UK treble crochet, and in the US that's known as a double crochet. So let's go ahead and make our slip knot. And we're going to chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. And there's your 12 chains. So for this stitch you're going to be working into the third chain from the hook. So as before, we don't count the loop that's on the hook. This is known as the working loop. So for the purposes of this next row, I'm going to refer to them as bumps, as I did before. So there's the first bump, second bump and third bump. So for this stitch, you're going to grab your yarn first of all, and then you're going to insert your hook under that third bump. Grab your yarn and pull through that space. You've got 3 loops on the hook this time. Grab your yarn, pull through the first 2 loops. You've still got 2 loops on the hook. Grab your yarn and pull through those last 2 loops, and that's your first treble stitch. So as before, you don't work into this gap here because that's at the base of the stitch you've just worked. So we're going to find the next stitch along. Here's the bump. So don't forget, grab your yarn first and insert under that bump. Grab your yarn and pull it through that gap, and you've got 3 loops on the hook. Grab your yarn and pull through the first 2 loops. So you've still got 2 loops on the hook. Grab your yarn and pull through the last 2 loops, and there's your next stitch. So let's do that again. Grab your yarn first, find the next stitch or the next bump, which is here. You can see the large gap there, that's the stitch you've just worked, so ignore that and move along to the next bump, which is here. Insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull it through that space. You've got 3 loops on the hook. Grab your yarn and pull through the first 2 loops only, so that you still have 2 loops on the hook. Grab your yarn and pull through those last 2 loops, and there's your next stitch. Let's do that again. Grab your yarn first of all, look for the next bump along, which is here. Insert your hook underneath, grab your yarn and pull through that gap. You've got 3 loops on the hook. Grab your yarn and pull through the first 2 loops only. You've got 2 loops left on the hook. Grab your yarn and pull through those 2 loops, and there's your next stitch. So go ahead, pause the video, work the next few stitches on your own, and I'll meet you back at the end here and we'll work this last stitch together. So we're almost at the end of the row here, and you can see that the stitches are a lot taller than the double crochet stitches that you did before. So your last stitch is this very last bump here. You can see the space. So grab your yarn first of all, insert your hook under that last bump, grab your yarn, pull it through. You've got 3 loops on the hook. Grab your yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, so you have 2 loops left on the hook. Grab your yarn and pull through those 2 loops. And that's your very first row of treble crochet. Or if you're in the US, that's a double. Well done. So what we're going to do now is we are going to chain 2 this time. 1, 2, and turn your work. Now this is going to be a little bit different to the previous sample piece. We are not working into the bottom of this stitch here where that gap is. You're going to work into the next stitch along. So grab your yarn, insert your hook into that next space, and as with the other sample piece, check that you've got both legs of the stitch on your hook, grab your yarn and pull it through that space. You've got 3 loops on the hook, grab your yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, grab your yarn and pull through the last 2 loops, and there's your first stitch. It does get easier as you're working up the sample piece, as you can see, because the stitches are a lot easier to identify now. You can see the V's on top, and you can also see the bumps, and you can see the little gaps that you're going into. So let's work the next one. Grab your yarn, insert your hook, check you've got both legs of the stitch on the hook, grab your yarn, pull it through. You've got 3 loops on the hook, grab your yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, grab your yarn and pull through the last 2 loops, and there's your next stitch. Grab your yarn, find the next stitch, insert your hook, check you've got both legs of the stitch on the hook, grab your yarn and pull it through. You've got 3 loops on your hook, grab your yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, grab your yarn again and pull through the last 2 loops, and there's your next stitch. So pause the video, carry on the next few stitches on your own, and I'll meet you back at the end here. Okay, so we've done our first row. So what you can see here is you can clearly see the stitches that you've made. They're quite a lot taller than the double crochet stitch. So to get into onto the next row, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. And the next stitch you're going to make is not into this first space here. You're going to work into the next space. So grab your yarn and insert your hook into that next space. Check that you've got both legs of the stitch on your hook. Grab your yarn and pull it through. You've got 3 loops on the hook. Grab your yarn and pull through the first 2, grab your yarn and pull through the second 2, and there's your first treble stitch. Grab your yarn and insert it into the next stitch. You can see here, if you look when it's flat, you can see the bumps of each individual stitch. You can also see the little gaps at the bottom, and then if you turn your work, you can see the V's of each stitch. Insert your hook, check that you've got both legs of the stitch on your hook, grab your yarn and pull it through. you've got 3 loops on the hook. Grab your yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, grab your yarn and pull through the last 2 loops, and there's your next stitch. Grab your yarn, insert your hook into that next space, grab your yarn and pull it through. You've got 3 loops on the hook. Grab your yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, grab your yarn and pull through the last 2 loops, and there's your next stitch. So go ahead, pause the video, work the next few stitches, and I'll meet you back here to work the last stitch with you. Okay, so we're almost at the end now. If you look at your work now, you can see that you've got the turning chain at this side. So you chained 2 and you turned your work. So this is your turning chain. So this doesn't count as a stitch. So if we count the stitches together now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we should have 10 stitches. So this is where you can make a mistake if you're not careful, and it would mean that the piece that you're working will start to move inwards rather than stay straight like on this side. So what you need to do is just pull your work out a little bit, and you can just about see that last stitch there. If you're not careful, you could quite easily miss it. So just be very careful with that last stitch. So what you can see, it's the top of the chain 2 that you did on the previous row. So grab your yarn, you can just see it there. If you apply the same principle as what we've done previously, so if you look at the stitch, that last stitch you've just done, you're not working into this gap here because that's at the bottom of the stitch that you've just worked. So grab your yarn and then turn your work, and you can just see the V there. So pull your work out a little bit, and there's that last stitch. So grab your yarn, insert your hook, check that you've got both legs of the stitch on the hook, grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn, pull through 2 loops, grab your yarn and pull through the last 2 loops. And there's your next row. So don't forget, don't count the turning chain as your stitches as you work through this piece. So go ahead, work another 2 rows, and I'll meet you back here and we'll have a look at the piece together. I'm just at the end of the next row, and I just thought I'd go through this last stitch with you again because I know it is a little bit tricky and I don't want you to miss it. So let's take a look at the sample piece again. Here you've got the turning chain, so don't count that as a stitch. And if it's easier, you can just count you can see the stitches, they are quite tall. So just count those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now you should have 10. So you know that somewhere at the end here, you've got to pick up a stitch. So turn your work, and you can just about see it here. It will get easier as you're working up the sample piece. It's just it can be quite tricky to start with. So grab your yarn, and you're going to be working into this stitch here, that V stitch there. Check you've got both legs of the stitch on the hook, grab your yarn, pull it through and finish your stitch off. And that way, by picking up that very last stitch, you're keeping the edge of your work straight along with this side. So go ahead, work another row and I'll meet you back. So we've got the same thing here. I've worked the 4th row. Don't count this as a stitch, that's your turning chain. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you know that there's a stitch missing. Now, if you were just looking at it, you'd think, oh, that's okay. It's looking fairly straight. But if you didn't pick up that last stitch, it will start to go inwards like this. And then you'll wonder why it's straight on this side and not on this side. So you do need to take care and get that last stitch. So we'll do that one together. Grab your yarn, turn your work and look for the V. Now you can see that this gap here is in the base of the stitch that you've just worked. So it's not that one. Turn your work and you can just see the V there. So pop your hook under that first leg of the stitch. It can be a little bit tricky, but it is worth it. There you go. And you've got both legs of the stitch, and then finish your stitch off. And there we have it. Well done. You've done your second sample piece, which is UK treble or US double crochet. You can see that your stitches are quite a lot taller than the double crochet stitch that we did previously. And again, it's a pretty stitch as a standalone stitch. You could use this on its own. You can use it for blankets, washcloths, coasters. If you just wanted to go ahead and just use this stitch, that's absolutely fine too. So what I will just show you is I'll show you how to correct your work on this piece. Remove your hook, grab your yarn and pull gently, and you can see the stitch undoing. And then you've got your next stitch here. So put your hook back in and then you can carry on with your work. And that's how you correct it. It's really simple with crochet. It's not difficult at all, but that's just because you've got that one working loop.